she comes. Make way for Sandy Sheep. Girl, you look gorgeous.
Thank you, I look gorgeous, but I've had a narrow escape.
From what?
Well, you see my bandage, everybody.
Yeah, what's that from, honey?
Well, honey, I was down at Waco, which you know Waco stands for what a cookout. Anyway, I was down in Waco, and they brought me down, and this has all been top secret. That's why I called and said that I was in North Carolina and all that. I really wasn't, and I wasn't having a makeover. I lied. The FBI sent me in to talk to David Koresh in the final hours. Well, I'm going to demonstrate to you what happened if I can tonight. I need two assistants from the audience. If two people could come up here and help me. I'm going to. So anyway, this is where we were. At the Cheslik-DeMeyer compound. I hope you can all see. Just let me get set up here. Now, it was an awful week. First of all, I went down there, and the first thing they told me, after all this happened, they said, now you've got to help us find Jeffrey Dahmer. I said, what are you talking about? They said, he's escaped. He heard there's a barbecue down here. Well, so I said, no, this is not true. I'm serious as a heart attack. It really all happened. Now, what happened was, you know, at 11:45, they put that sign out, everybody, that said, we want our phones fixed. Lies, all lies, this never happened. They put that in on TV. They faded it in. The sign really said, David will talk to Sandy. I was totally incognito, okay? I then went in at around 12:15, okay? Now, I came in and I said, David, I want to talk to you. We were up here in this bunker, right here. That's right where we were. I said, David, I want to talk to you. He said, Sandy, get down on your knees when you talk to me. I got down on my knees and I prayed with him. And we prayed for a little bit. And then I realized I was mesmerized. And I thought that he was Jesus Christ, like everybody said. And he made love to me and told me he wanted me to be his wife. And I was sitting there. And then he bit my neck, pulled out. This is the hard part, and said, Sandy, I want you to lick your pussy juice off my Peter. At that moment, I knew that couldn't be Jesus, because Jesus would never say that. Then I looked down, and I saw that he was uncut, all 11 inches of it. Now, I knew Jesus would be cut, because Jesus was Jewish. So, I snapped out of it right away. I snapped out of it, and I called the FBI on my phone. I pressed 4, which was to let them know that I was okay, but to come in. They took that as the signal at that time and brought in the tanks. Now, these tanks here were set up at each of the windows, and they were ready to go on in at that moment. So David was done having sex, and I said, I looked back at him, and I was crying, and he said, why are you crying, Sandy? I said, it's tear gas, David. They're coming in here. They are coming in here after us. He said, Sandy, not yet. I like to have a cigarette after smoking. After having sex. I said, David, no, please don't do that. That's when the bunker went up in flames. Everything caught on fire. I started running for my life. It was absolutely awful. He said, Sandy, it doesn't matter. I said, we've got to get out of here. He said, Sandy, my hair even caught on fire, as you can see. I was running through the compound. I said, let's get out of here. He said, no, we're not going to get out of here. We're going to go down in one of my private little holes, and we're going to have sex one last time. He dug me into this dugout, and he made me have sex with him one last time. At that moment, I said, there's your other wife, Rachel. He turned around, and I grabbed the gun out of his hand. I shot him, and I ran back through the fire. And I'm here to talk about it tonight.